We have a little bit of a variety video featuring this old Crosley and some transistor radios for this holiday weekend. I trust everybody will be out barbecuing memorials. We do have a bunch of stuff in the works. We'll take a look at that real quick. Currently in the works, we have this 1966 Packard Bell color combo set. This was somebody's childhood set. They'd like to see it work again. This one's proving to be a really tough cookie with some AGC issues. We also got this guy, this beauty, this Plasto crap beauty. There was a lot of interest in this coin-operated set, seeing this resurrected, so we might have to get into that. At least I think this was the one. And I don't believe, there were a lot of comments that suggested that this being a Majestic Model 15, that this did not match this case for this coin-operated radio. Also, I hear there's going to be some debates, or at least they're saying there's going to be some debates. And so I need a set that presents as elderly. There's the new euphemistic phrase for you. Presents as elderly. I need a set that presents as elderly to resurrect, and we watch the debates on. It's always a fun, everybody loves that. Everybody loves the debates. So I'm thinking this Hallicrafters, because this sort of presents as elderly. I could do a 630 TS. That's probably the oldest set I have. But even that set is not as old as the candidates. So be looking for a good sloppy resurrection and debates coming up in the next month or so. If it happens. If. It will happen on my end, but well, we're out in the Arizona desert, and I just did a pretty comprehensive video on these 1-volt solid state replacement tubes for the Zenith transoceanic radio and the other Zenith flip top, tip flop, whatever it is, radio that I've been working on. And if you haven't watched that video in full, it's a long video, but sort of the discovery of what we find out is pretty interesting. So go back and take a look at that video. Try and make it through the whole thing. Watch it at 2x speed. Always feel free to watch these videos at 2x speed on a desktop computer, because I talk slow. And you can double my speed and you don't miss a thing. Anyway, we're going to try a few radios we've worked on recently while we're out here. We've got the Toshiba radio we sort of restored. It's all original parts. I've got 2 of these Channel Master 14-cylinder 14-cylinder radios, and these seem to hold up much better than the clock style AM radio, which was, of course, they're made by Sanyo, but the typical clock style AM only Channel Master radios always need all the capacitors changed. And these seem to hold up. So we'll just give those a try. We'll compare them. We've got several really good radio stations out of Baja California, Mexico here. They play just really great music, all, classic rock and FM Light, AM Gold, Doctor's Office classics. We'll check these 2. We did videos on those. So let's just get going here. We'll use this as our control because this works pretty damn good. If they get 10 years old, we're actually getting kind of late in the day, so we're approaching gray line, so we're going to get a lot of DX start to flop in here. It typically gets out of control nuts right before the stations cut their power. So we'll start with that there. Ooh, they make great pets. Well, this thing is unacceptable. There it is. There it is. Okay, let's try this one. No contest. Okay, that's out. We thought that was a killer radio. That ticking is the camera. Well, that's better than the Toshiba. Well, you can just barely hear it on this if you put it to your ear. In fact, I think they switched songs. No, it's just a low modulation point. Okay, next song, please. Beautiful people. Really? You're going from Make Great Pets into this? Okay. God, this is like a house classic. You're going from Make Great Pets into that, huh? Okay. You could just barely hear it on this one. But that's all I would expect. Okay, well, the GE is a bit better. Boy, what a transition. I can't believe they're playing this song on the radio out of Baja, Mexico. I mean, it's no contest, right? You just, yeah. Okay, here's the red one. They're close, but black wins. Okay, we'll try FM. I thought this radio was perfect. I didn't remember it having a chip there. Okay, FM test.
Está por music loud. Take the no dirty to move the crowd and say in his mouth. Baby Murphy taught me that back in the house. For me.
Oh, yeah. Getting stations out of Mexico. Well, FM doesn't seem to work on this one at all. That's AM.
Gateway, Americopa Community College. Play-by-play action from your end.
What am I doing wrong? Well, FM doesn't appear to work on this at all. And I'm pretty sure it worked in the city. Nothing. Well.
Maniac, Brainiac, the game. I'm the lyrical Jesse James.
Yeah, when you get out away from Los Angeles, there's so many more options on the radio. I mean, the programming in LA is just horrible. You come out here, it's just you actually have like some options or some hope. All right, well, let's compare this one to this one on FM. Is that Fergie? Yeah, well, this one's not slacking.
West end of Main Street in Quartzsite, between the Globes and Times 3.
Like it's the last goodbye.
My world is crushing, I'm all alone.
No turning.
Been in the state.
I could swear that was not chipped. Why is that bothering me? I thought this radio was perfect. Damn. I had it wrapped up too. Anyway, these two perform okay on FM, and they perform satisfactory on AM. Of course, the transoceanic blows them all away. Again, if you haven't watched the full video on the solid state tubes, if you only watch the first 10 minutes of it, you have no idea what's going on. So The little 6 transistor hand radios or city radios, like we've always said. Not really that conclusive of a video, I guess. But it is always fun to come out here, and I think the border, Mexico border, is about, I don't know, 80, 90 miles that way. But we are out in the middle of nowhere here. But not, radio waves don't know that, obviously. Wonder what's going on in this one. Sure sounds like the FM is active, but it doesn't tune anything in. It's definitely not going to be a capacitor problem. It could probably be an alignment, or maybe the RF amp got smoked, but the antenna's hooked up. Maybe we had a little static charge and it popped the RF amp transistor. It's always possible. Isn't this SOS band? Everybody knows SOS band from Take Your Time, Do It Right, but I think they did Just Be Good to Me too. I'm sure if I let it go long enough, the Google Shut Me Up bot will detect it, but I'm not going to do that. You think the content ID will detect that through all that noise? Probably. Did I do this whole video in one take on the phone here? I don't think. Maybe. Ow! Damn, that thing is sharp. Don't screw with that. I wanted to go over here and we'll look at the Socorro cactus, even though this is not a good one. Well, there's a good one out there. There's a couple good ones. Let's see if we can zoom in on them. There you go. But yeah, they're kind of big. You walk up to it and you're like, damn, that thing is big. Testing radios out in a rural area, you always get such a different picture when you do it out here compared to when you do it in the city. The strong signal environment in the big city, just you get a totally false perception of the performance of these things. You know, you got to get them out, or I need a Faraday room. But this is more fun to come out here. This looks dangerous. Surprised the government hasn't mandated its removal because somebody might hurt themselves. In fact, that looks like a damn weapon. Yeah, I'll pass on that. Anyway, long in the day, the gray line is starting to hit. Can take a second and tune around here.
Last week I had Bo Nix 1, Jaden Daniels 2.
Oh yeah. Little Boz Skaggs. Lido waiting on the go. What'll happen is as sundown hits and all the radio stations start to cut their power, what happens is the band gets totally packed, and then they all start to cut their power, and they all start to go silent, and it thins out.
Learning and what you have.
Arnold and Troy. You talked about a cheap.
See if any of those like highway warning signs were starting to come in.
Two for the Bama 20.
Nah. Anyway, I'm going to cut the video. I don't think most people like watching tuning around on a radio. So anyway, there's a review of whatever it was. I don't ever remember what it was when I started. There were some transistor bulbs, some vacuum bulbs, some transistor-filled vacuum bulbs, and some vacuum-filled transistor bulbs. 1948 Crosley Model 88TA AM/FM table radio. Yeah, that's what that is. It's a table radio. And this is the original Crosley, not the Chino Crosley that makes junk combo record players that last 6 months and then fall apart. This is actually a revisit video. The first video was posted 11 years ago. And the deal at that time was a friend who owns some rental properties. He's been featured in a few videos recently, made appearances. Wanted a scary looking old radio to leave turned on in one of the rental units to make it sound like somebody was home. It was a vacant rental unit at the time. And so we got this going, and I'm very curious to take it apart and reflect back on what I was doing 11 years ago, because I know that, I've evolved and improved, at least I hope so, and gotten better at working on this stuff. And what recently has occurred is he lost another tenant, and we were talking, and I said, "Remember that radio?" He said, "Yeah, you should get that old scary looking thing back together, and we'll stick it in the unit and let it run." And this time he doesn't know if he's going to rent the unit out, because since COVID, the Los Angeles city government has put in so many anti-private property, anti-landlord, pro-tenant, they've just gone so far to the private property side of it that the tenants' rights just completely overpower the landlords. So a lot of landlords just don't even want to deal with it anymore because they could lose so much. And I understand both sides of that debate, very well. So I'm not even going to get into that. But let's take a look back at this radio. This is really an old dinosaur here. And if I remember right, this tube was bad, which was a 6H6 dual diode, little octal, little stubby little thing that was there. And the filament was open. Hey, my memory still works, I think. And so I replaced it with a 6AL5. I made an adapter. If I remember right, the Cruise bot went completely nuts over that I would make an adapter. And we should plug it in and see if it works. I'd like to fix this because he would like the light to be on. Sort of wants it to look creepy. Maybe I could put like a red light in it. I don't think it ever worked really well. I didn't do a full recap on it. I just kind of got it to work. Ooh, International Service Master tube. Nothing but the best. So, Crosley Model 88 TA, 45 watt AC/DC. It is a line set, does not have a power transformer, a division of Avco. And there's the vacuum bulb layout, and of course it is licensed by RCA. So it seems like just about every radio is licensed by RCA. Well, I remember it working, and it ran for months and months and months nonstop. And I did install a fuse, it looks like, which is sort of intelligent, I guess. I did not change any of the wax capacitors. It doesn't even look like I did anything with the grid coupling capacitor to the audio output. I don't know where my brain was on that. I guess it hadn't changed much. I'm still not a big internet wizard when it comes to just changing capacitors. I mean, they do need to be changed, don't get me wrong. All these wax capacitors should be changed, but for most shelf queens it doesn't. But this was not a shelf queen. Well, let's plug it in and turn it on. And if I remember right, the 6AL5 would totally flare out, which is as the 6H6 would, but it was 6H6 is metal, which is why this tube, the filament, blows out first. Which, there you go, it's no exception. It should really have a inrush current limiter on this, like a CL90.
Cloudy and windy conditions today with highs only in the 60s to maybe some low 70s. We've got a slight chance of rain this evening and rain likely after midnight. Windy conditions persist this evening as well, with lows dropping into the 50s. It'll be partly cloudy in the morning for your Sunday, then sunny and windy as well again, with highs in the mid-60s.
This is on FM. FM still works. Notice how in 1948, if I can get that to show up a little better, AM was the bigger numbers on the top, FM was the less dominant. It says frequency modulation, but look how AM was still the dominant. FM was something new and cutting edge at that time, I'm sure.
Interesting. You gotta keep them separated.
Well, I think what we should do is we should do an alignment and check some voltages, see how leaky the capacitors are. The filter's obviously good. This hum is like from the volume control not being shielded.
And save up to $700 on select mattresses. With news and social mornings and music from noon on.
Well, the sensitivity seems there, it's just not very loud. So maybe the IF alignment We should go through by the Sam's and just do a quick IF alignment with a voltmeter. Imagine what the FM band would have sounded like in 1948. Wouldn't it have been something to sweep across this here in LA in 1948 and see what you picked up? Okay, let's just do some voltage checks. We'll just start here. And that looks like a disc capacitor, so that's probably okay. And then try 8. Let's see. So this is the cathode right here. 7.8 volts, that's okay. Here's your 470K resistor. This is your grid. That's at 0. That's good. So the plate should be number 3 and 4. Okay, so we got 96 volts there. We got 111 there. That seems a little low. Let's check here. 8 on the other side of that. So there's that 1000 pufferofarad. Wow, 6 volts? 6 volts on the plate of the audio amp tube? Really? Let's get off of this.
When was that? That was the 80s, right?
So we got a 330K.
It was a hatchback.
And the Pony.
It was called the Pony in other markets, but it had a
Right.
little name here, and I'm blanking.
I'm trying to think what was there. But it was. I know it was a Pony, but I don't remember it had a bad.
96 volts on one side of the 330K and 6 volts on the other. What is the plate voltage supposed to be on that tube?
I just looked it up on Google. Thank you, Google.
God, they're talking about the 1986 Hyundai Excel.
Spreadsheet. No. Now, also something now we're talking about in general about Hyundai. This is many years ago.
Hyundai.
Mark, you also visited.
They say 27 volts there.
Fully automated.
Never been.
And 17 volts on pin 6.
Walking into a huge building where machines putting
Hyundai.
in the car, and there was just a handful of people walking around, and they were checking on the computers. But I could see the steel roll coming off the truck, and then from there going into the presses, make the body, the welding, the body,
1,
etc., going through the paint
2,
section.
3,
And there was just
4,
working on the cars. And I
5,
thought at that
6.
time, wait a minute, this is a foreign manufacturer in the United States.
14 volts.
You know,
Hyundai.
Plant. How could this be? So from that moment, I thought.
17. Well, why is the plate so damn low, man? 6 volts when it should be 27? That, if that resistor is up, that could be responsible for lack of gain on my Hyundai. Hyundai.
Today I got the SEL model, and this is a 3-row
Ooh.
Volkswagen.
Ooh.
And I
Speaking of Hyundai, I need to see if I can find this video clip. Hyundai and Kia do something very interesting. They use the knock sensor to check for excessive connecting rod bearing wear. And if the ECU detects rod knock, it puts the vehicle into limp mode. And of course, it's very easy for an ECU to detect something like rod knock because it's just looking at a continuous pattern that correlates to the engine RPM. So I see a lot of those that are in limp mode because they have a very slight rod knock. So they won't go over 10, 15 miles an hour. Anyway, a side diversion. Let me see if I can find. I got a video clip on that. I got Hyundai. A panoramic Hyundai.
room for things to store in the cabin.
This is a cool feature of Hyundai and Kia. When the ECU detects a rod knock, premature connecting rod bearing wear, it uses the knock sensor and it has the logic to detect the crank RPM and the pattern of the rod knock, and it sets, I think the code is P1326, and it goes into limp mode. So when the engine's worn, it limits the vehicle to like 25 miles an hour. This is not a misfire code. This is a rod knock detected engine protect code. Self-EOLing. So when the engine's worn out, it just locks you out of use of the car and it's got to go to the junkyard, or you put a new motor in it. Well, it looks like the 330 has gone up to 540. The other thing I'm curious is if this capacitor has gotten leaky and is pulling that voltage down. It's supposed to be 100. This is 100 mmF. 100 mmF, that's a paper capacitor, okay. But I think what I'm going to do is turn it on and measure the voltage drop across the resistor, then yank the tube. And when I do that, the voltage drop should go to 0, no matter what the value of the resistor is, unless there's something leaky on the other side of it. Okay, so the drop across the resistor is 90 volts. I'm going to pull the tube out here. Still 13 volts, so there's something else pulling. So we do have leaky caps helping with the bad resistor. Well, I changed that 330. I left the old one in there, but it's out of circuit. And it came up to around 13 volts. I'm still about 10 volts low. I don't know how much that would improve it, though. Okay, I think I was being a bit stupid there. I believe that voltage was probably being measured in AM, not FM. I don't know why it comes up in AM, but it does. That's FM. So it's definitely louder now. Finally, a music station on AM. Okay, we're going to do a quick alignment on this. And what I'm doing, as you can see here, the way Sam's has it, that's 3, 4, 11, 12. So what I'm doing is with a pencil, I'm writing them here just to make it faster. Those are IF alignment points. There's a lot of alignment to this, and I'm not sure I understand it all. I'll make a fool out of myself and get the numbers all wrong and have 1,000 comments on, oh, you screwed that up. But that's okay. Me learning too. Okay, so we got to do the AM first because that's what they say. Let's see. Volume control should be at maximum positive output. Signal generator should be no higher than necessary. Use an insulated alignment screwdriver for adjusting. No, we will have sparks and smoke. I don't care what you say. Okay, so dummy antenna, so they want you to connect to pin 4 of the mixer tube, 6SH7, through 100 picopuff capacitor. And tuning gang fully open, and we're just going to align this one by ear. Adjust for maximum output. If isolation transformer is not used, reduced dummy antenna. So there's a whole write-up, and I need to find it about with Hot chassis sets, they want you to align using an isolation transformer, and there's an explanation for that. Okay, so they want you to use an isolation transformer because you'll get this intermodulation buzz between the signal generator and the radio. But you know what? We're not going to get that because we're using this. I don't think these were available in 1948. So we're going to do it a little bit different. Oh, look at that. It's still set to 445 from the other radio. I got to go back and correct that. So we'll kick that up to 455. We'll put AM. Let's see, modulation, AM. 455. And I could not get into that point to solder. So what I did is I just clipped this onto the insulation of the wire going to that tube. Let's see. Okay, that sounds like it'll work good enough. So let's go. We want the minimum signal. And I'm going to play that game, what is that called, Operation, where you have to reach in through the hole without shorting the thing out. Looks like I got it right last time. Looks like I got it really close last time. Okay, I'm going to say it's good enough. Leave it. I did put a light bulb. Next, we're going to do the FMIF. So we're connected to point A with this meter, the HP, basically like a VTVM. And we want to feed into the same place. We're just going to go to 10.7 unmodulated. Tuning gang fully open. That's right. DC probe to point A. I think I'm on point A here. I'm not sure. It shows a picture of it, not the placement on the schematic. And we're going to adjust 7. So we'll go to FM. Okay, so there's FM. Then we'll turn this on. And we'll go to 10.7 Meggy-Zieblers. And then when we hit on here, we should see some, boy, not much. I'm going to turn it off. I'm on 10.7 megahertz. Maybe I'm not, where I'm fed in there is not great. So we want to adjust 7 here. Again, playing. Okay. It's about as best as I can get there. And now we want to go, for the next step, we want to go to point B and adjust for a 0 reading. So point B, I believe, is this right here. Let me try this. Let me turn this off. That doesn't seem like it does a whole bunch, does it? Well, let's try it. This is the detector. This should, ooh, this should swing both positive and negative. Which it does. Well, let me see if turning this off does make a difference now. Yes, it does. So that's, that was adjusted pretty well. So that's where we want to adjust it, to that point right there. Okay. So that was adjusted really well. And that's pretty accurate, because if I turn it off, it makes no difference. Okay, I got that right, I think. Okay, now we're going to go back here and we're going to adjust A9 and 10, adjust for maximum deflection. And okay, we're going to do 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we want to go back here. Switch to negative. Let's see. There we go. Now we want to do 9, 10, 11, and 12. Let's see. Get it in the hole here. Nine, 10, 11, I have let it warm up for an hour. And 12. Okay. I think we're pretty good here. I think it was pretty good. Imagine being an invader and wanting to squat in a house and getting into this vacant house like 3 a.m. and seeing this radio playing with this buzzing. And that's not filter hum, that's a buzz from the bad volume control. I mean, you'd be like, hell no, you'd just roll out. So anyway, I'm not unimpressed with my work 11 years ago. The thing still worked and the alignment was still pretty close. not much of a video here. Like I said, it was more just to revisit, you know, see where I was 11 years ago, which was probably a bit of a different person back then. I don't know. Things have changed, times have changed, and I've probably changed with those. So anyway, enough of that. I'm gonna go put it in its spot. Take a drive down and put it in its spot. All right, I think we need to take a minute and align this thing to 455 since I screwed up and aligned it to 445. Not that it'll really make any difference, but we need to do this so the internet can sleep at night. This is how you know that these videos are real and not staged, is that I make mistakes. What did I do there? Okay, we're at 455. Oh, crap. That's pretty good.
To that campus of taxpayer money. And by the way, when students start saying that they want us to cut off all funding, any institution which is doing business with Israel should be cut off, they ought to remember that the U.S. government does a lot of business with Israel. So does that mean they're going to give up their student loans? They're going to give up the money going to the university? I mean, all of a sudden you're going to see them go, well, maybe I didn't quite mean that. But I watch what's going on in the campuses, and I think we have to be prepared to stand up for freedom, and we have to be prepared to stand up for law and order.
All right, it's aligned right now.
When officials say we need to find a more effective way than death to inflict suffering on Palestinians, how is that making Israel safe? I mean, how? Peace is not about politics.
So it's perfect.
Israelis are surprised when
right here. This is the whole point of it. Is really to distract from that. which that is a game camera that sends a picture to the owner's phone if someone breaks in here. One of those squatter invader dealy thingies. I mean, that thing is just creepy, man. Look at that. Imagine coming in here at night and seeing that melted radio.
The Jewish people had to endure in Europe. And I try to empathize and see where they're coming from. And absolutely, we need the hostages.
If it blows up, we'll do a follow-up video on it. But it's just going to be sitting here running 24/7 from here to who knows when.